I've broken down the recruiting veterans process into 3 steps for both the resume review process as well as the interview process. For the resume review, you need to find out 3 things. What did they do? When did they do it? And how is it relevant to the position? We can understand that the average reviewer spends less than 10 seconds when reviewing a resume. And in those 10 seconds, it's very important to find out what did they do, when did they do it, and how is it relevant to the position. For the interview process, I've also broken it down to 3 steps. For the interview process, you need to find out, can they do the job? Can and how do they work with others? And do they possess a positive attitude? Some acronyms you may find on veteran resumes describing their branches of service are USA, which refers to United States Army. They are soldiers. USMC stands for the United States Marine Corps. Their personnel are referred to as Marines. USN is the United States Navy, and they are sailors. USAF, United States Air Force, they are the airmen. And USCG, United States Coast Guard, they are referred to as Coast Guardsmen or simply as Coasties. Some examples for your open position are shown on this slide. For example, if you have positions in IT, test, communications, business systems analysts, business development, and technical sales roles, you may want to look for the word signal, commo, or comms. They basically refer to IT, networking, and communication systems, and oftentimes if you see intelligence, or Intel for short, they can be great analysts. For technical roles, technician and engineering, nuclear or nuke for short in the United States Navy, you may want to look for technicians, abbreviated as techs, electronics, avionics, and electricians. You may also find machinist mate. They're more big engine propulsion, generators, motors, and HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. The Navy has nukes. They are the elite technicians in that branch of service. They also are electronic techs, electricians mates, machinist mates, and they also include their officer ranks, but they have more specialized and advanced training than your average ETs, EMs, and MMs. And lastly, when you see the word engineer, always keep in mind that it's the military's term for engineering, and it often relates to combat support. Generally, engineers are specialized in the construction, the demolition, or the moving of big things from point A to point B. For some of your non-technical roles, such as human resources, staffing, and training positions, look out for keywords such as adjutant or yeoman. Those are formal titles for anyone specializing in personnel or manpower. Recruiters can not only recruit, but they often make good salespeople. And then instructors, admin, and clerical simply are the same as in a civilian environment. For operation types of positions, project and program people management, training, admin, and support roles, look for words such as planning, operations, and training. You can find these under any organization, any unit. Other project managers can be found in the logistics field, supply, maintenance, as well as aviation. And lastly, anyone with operational skills also have a background in administrative and clerical work. After you review the resume, you want to refer to the rule of 3. For the screening or the phone interview, which generally takes 30 to 45 minutes, these are the 3 things that you need to determine. Number 1, can the veteran do the job? Number 2, can and how does the veteran work with others? And number 3, does the veteran possess a positive attitude? For the screening or the phone interview, I will put the process in reverse order. The first thing I want to determine is, does the veteran possess a positive attitude? Some of the questions I ask the veteran when I talk to them over the phone is determine their motivation. Why did they join the military in the first place? So another question I ask is, why or how did the veteran select their branch of service? What was the reason they chose the Marine Corps over the Navy or the Army over the Air Force? And then from there, every veteran has a technical specialty. I also want to know how they came across or how did they get selected to that specialty. What's important to me is military veterans or military personnel are professionals. They will do what you expect them to do and more. But just because a veteran was in IT in the military or a corpsman or an MP, that does not necessarily mean that that's what they selected to do or that's what they want to do in the future. So another question I ask is, did you select your specialty or did it select you? Usually how this is determined by their test scores, the ASVAB. Prior to joining the military, recruiters have the candidate take the ASVAB test, and based on your results, you are eligible to apply to certain positions. So they may want to have been a nuke electronic technician, but if their test score wasn't high enough, they may have been selected to be a corpsman, a military police officer, or even an HR professional. Another question I asked veterans was, how was their overall experience in the military? What I'm looking for is not only the reason they joined the military, but how they processed it, how they actually look back at a significant time in their life. And then lastly, I asked the veteran, why did they decide to get out? Through all of these questions, I'm listening for negatives, blaming of others, a sense of entitlement, but I'm also looking for the positives too. I'm looking for their can-do attitude, times where they took initiative, times where they went above and beyond, and any awards or recognitions that they are particularly and especially proud of. Continuing with the screening or the phone interview process, the next thing I want to determine is, can or how does a veteran work with others? For this, I want to know 3 things that are important professionally to the veteran or any candidate. I ask them, tell me 3 things about this job that are important to you professionally. Basically, what do you want to find, achieve, or accomplish in this next role? The reason why this is important to me is I'm trying to match what the position, what the company, what our culture has to offer against what is important to the veteran. If there isn't any strong matching, the likelihood that this will result in a long-term employment relationship is probably not going to be as great than having a veteran that closely aligns with what the company and the position has to offer to them professionally. The second thing I ask is for them to describe their ideal team environment or corporate culture. Again, I'm listening for and looking for dynamics, similarities to my particular team and my organization's culture and how they would match if they were to come on board. I call this technique peeling the onion. Find out exactly what their personal values are versus their unit accomplishments. For this, oftentimes veterans are not as comfortable talking about or taking credit for their personal achievements. They'll usually refer to my squad, my unit, my platoon, my division, my department. And so I need to peel the onion to determine what was that veteran's role in that particular achievement or accomplishments. And oftentimes you'll get down to what was their actual scope of responsibility during that particular mission or that particular task. Finally, the last thing I want to determine is, can the veteran do the job technically? These are some of the questions I ask. What in your background is relevant to this position? Why did they apply to this position in the first place? I ask them a behavioral-based question. Tell me about a time when they either did or they used or they designed whatever is relevant to my particular role. And then lastly, I also want to understand, what was the ultimate result? What was the improvement? What was the outcome? What was the saving? Anything that would be important to this particular position. Again, remember to peel the onion. Look for and listen to not only the role, but to your team and to your organization's culture. Other things to look for is their past technical experience, their scope of responsibility or accountability in any past role. Look at their current educational background. Check their clearance status if it's important to the position. I also try to determine what their future career goals and see how they can progress in my organization. Everything should be relevant to the position, to your team, and also to your company. If the veteran passes your screening or your phone interview and you want to invite them to the on-site or company face-to-face interview, here are a few things that we recommend. I recommend a 360 approach to interviewing. Assign your team members different areas to assess separately. You might want to have someone focus technically on the position. Can they do the job? You might want to have others focus on teamwork or culture fit. Can and how does a veteran work with others? And then you might also have other interviewers focus on the aptitude or the expectations to the role. Does a veteran possess a positive attitude? I also have them show their work on the spot. We make them go to the whiteboard. We give them problem-solving case study questions. And the reason why we do this is to check to see how they can handle unexpected surprises or how they deal with stress in a work environment. Finally, we recommend that the team, to include the decision makers as well as the interviewers, regroup in a timely manner in order to evaluate the whole candidate. We recommend that this is completed within 2 weeks of the actual interview. And we also recommend that regardless of the decision, that the team informs the candidate of the ultimate decision. At the end of the day, what every employer or interviewer wants to know is, can the veteran do the job? Can or how does a veteran work with others? And does a veteran possess a positive attitude? By focusing on these 3 things, we believe that your interview selection process will be much more successful when it comes to hiring and retaining military veterans as employees.
If you have any questions or need assistance, go to the PsychArmor website or call the PsychArmor support line at 844-779-2427. Thank you for completing this course and taking that one step further in learning about our American veterans.